I have done 30 plus certifications and am here to guide you throughout your certification journey. In this video, we will be covering some important questions of the Microsoft MS 700 exam. You can find the complete PDF of this video and our practice questions through the link down in the description. To the important questions. Question 1. You work as a Microsoft 365 administrator for your company. All users have Microsoft 365 licenses. Users frequently collaborate by using private chats in Microsoft Teams. You need to ensure that a single user is unable to permanently delete private chats. Which of the following should you configure? Firstly, let's eliminate the incorrect options. We have A, the user's Microsoft 365 license options in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. This is wrong because it controls access to features, not data retention. Then we have B, a meeting policy in Microsoft Teams. It manages meeting settings, not chat retention. Then we have D, a sensitivity label in the Security and Compliance Admin Center. It focuses on content classification, not chat deletion. As such, the most appropriate option here is a litigation hold on the user's mailbox. Thus, the correct option is C. To reserve electronically stored information, you can put selected users or all users on legal hold to make sure that all message interchange are discoverable by the organization's compliance manager or Teams admin. This has to be done in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, creating a case to set the legal hold. Question 2. Your company has a subscription to Microsoft 365. All users in your company have a Microsoft 365 E5 license. All users use Microsoft Teams for collaboration. A manager wants to be able to view the Microsoft Teams usage reports. You need to assign the manager permissions to view the usage reports. The solution must use the principle of least privilege. Which of the following actions should you perform? Firstly, let's eliminate the incorrect options. We have A, assign the team's communications administrator role to the manager. This is incorrect because it grants excessive permissions such as managing team settings beyond viewing usage reports. Then we have B, assign the security administrator role to the manager. This is incorrect because it focuses on managing security features unrelated to usage reports. Then we have D, assign the compliance manager role to the manager. It handles compliance settings, not usage reports. As such, the most appropriate option here is to assign the reports reader role to the manager. Thus, the correct option is C. With reports reader role, you can view Microsoft Teams usage in Microsoft Admin Center under reports usage, then Microsoft Teams. Question 3. You work as a systems administrator for your company. The company has a subscription to Microsoft 365. All users in your company have a Microsoft 365 E3 license. All users use Microsoft Teams for collaboration. Company security policy has the following requirement. All files used in personal chats or team collaborations must be retained for a minimum of 1 year. You need to configure a retention policy to meet the security requirement. Which two locations should you apply the retention policy to? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have B, Exchange email. It is not relevant to file retention in Teams or OneDrive. It deals with email messages. Then we have C, Teams chat. Chats are stored in Exchange, not as standalone files. So the retention policy for chat message is not applicable here. Then we have E, Teams channel messages. Messages themselves are stored in SharePoint or a OneDrive, but the focus here is on file retention, not messages. As such, The most appropriate options here are OneDrive accounts and SharePoint sites. Thus, the correct options are A and D. About the options, A. When user uploads or shares a file to or in personal chat with someone, that file automatically appears under the sharing user OneDrive account in Teams chat files folder with appropriate rights automatically assigned to the user to which that file is shared. About D. All Teams channels files are saved in SharePoint. Question 4. You work as a systems administrator for your company. The company has a subscription to Microsoft 365. All users in your company have a Microsoft 365 E3 license. All users use Microsoft Teams for collaboration. You need to prevent all users except managers from sending messages marked as urgent. Managers must be able to send messages marked as urgent. Which two of the following actions should you perform? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Configure a new permission policy and apply it to the managers. Permission policies manage other aspects, not messaging features like urgent messages. Then we have C. Modify the default permission policy. Again, permission policies do not control messaging features, including urgent messaging. As such, the most appropriate options here are configure a new messaging policy and apply it to the managers, and modify the default messaging policy. Thus, the correct options are B and D. B and D are correct. Default messaging policy needs to be restricted, and a separate policy that allows it for managers. Question 5. You work as a systems administrator for your company. The company has recently purchased a subscription to Microsoft 365. All users in your company have a Microsoft 365 E3 license. You are in the process of configuring Microsoft Teams. A company security policy states that users must not be able to add apps to Microsoft Teams. You need to configure Microsoft Teams to meet the security requirement. What should you configure? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have B, the global teams policy. It controls overall team settings, not app permissions. Then we have C, the org-wide team settings. It manages organization-wide settings but does not specifically address app permissions. Then we have D, the global app setup policy. It controls the default apps that are pinned in Teams, not whether users can add apps. As such, we should configure the global app permission policy. Thus, the correct option is A. App setup policy allow you to control what apps are pinned, but not prevent users from adding other apps. The global app permission policy controls whether users can add apps to Teams. By configuring this policy, you can restrict users from adding apps to meet the security requirement. Question 6. You work as a Microsoft 365 administrator for your company. All users have Microsoft 365 E5 licenses. All users have Microsoft Teams for collaboration. You upload a custom app to Microsoft Teams. The custom app will be used by all users in the company. You need to ensure that the custom app appears at the top of the app bar in Microsoft Teams. Which of the following actions should you perform? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have a B, create a configuration rule. It is not relevant to pinning apps, configuration profiles, manage device settings. Then we have C, configure the global app permission policy. It manages permission for apps, not the location or visibility in the app bar. Then we have D, configure the global teams policy. It manages overall team settings but does not control app placement on the app bar. As such, the action that we should perform is to configure the global app setting policy. Thus, the correct option is A, TSCV, then Teams app, then setup policy. Select any policy and inside you can arrange the apps accordingly. The global app step policy allows you to pin custom apps to the app bar for all users, ensuring it appears at the top of the app bar in Teams. Question 7. You work as a systems administrator for your company. The company has a subscription to Microsoft 365. All users in your company have a Microsoft 365 E5 license. The company has several departments. You have configured a private team for each of the departments. You configure an additional private team named managers. The managers team will contain all departmental managers. You need to ensure that the managers team is not viewable in the suggested teams list. What should you do? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Modify the member permissions for the managers team. It does not affect visibility in the suggested teams list. It focuses on user roles within the team. Then we have B. Configure a new app permission policy. It manages app access, not team visibility. Then we have D. Select the hide option for the managers team. There is no direct hide option. Modifying team's discovery option achieves this goal. As such, we should modify the team discovery options for the managers team. Thus, the correct option is C. Recently, however, Microsoft changed this. Now, the discoverability option does not show under the edit team options. Private teams are always hidden from the directory and public teams are always shown. All documentation related to discoverability has been removed. Modifying the team discovery option allows you to control whether a team appears in the suggested teams list for users, ensuring the manager's team is hidden. Question 8. You have a Microsoft 365 subscription that uses Microsoft Teams. You plan to implement Microsoft Teams rooms. The solution must meet the following requirements. Which license should you purchase? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Advanced Communications. It focuses on enhancing communication features in Teams but does not cover the management and troubleshooting of room systems. Then we have C. Microsoft Teams Rooms Standard. It provides basic functionality for Teams rooms but lacks the advanced management and monitoring features. Then we have D. Microsoft 365 Business Voice. It is a telephony solution for businesses not related to Teams rooms or room system management. As such, the license that we should purchase is Microsoft Teams Rooms Premium. Thus, the correct option is B. There are only two choices here, standard and premium. And the keyword is managed. If Microsoft manages it, it is premium. If not, it is standard. Question 9. You are a Microsoft Teams administrator for your company. All the teams used by the company's legal departments must meet the following compliance requirements. What should you do? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. From the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, modify the Teams policy. Teams policies do not manage lifecycle or deletion settings. They control features and settings for Teams usage. Then we have C. From the Microsoft 365 Compliance Admin Center, create a data loss prevention policy. DLP policies focus on data protection, not on managing group lifecycle or content deletion. Then we have D. From the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, modify the Office 365 group settings. Office 365 group settings manage basic group behaviors but don't address automated expiration or content restoration. As such, we should, from the PowerShell, run the new -Azure ADMS Group Lifecycle Policy CMDLET. Thus, the correct option is B. This CMDLET allows you to set a group lifecycle policy, including automatic expiration after a set number of days, deletion of content, and restoration of deleted content for a defined period. Question 10. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription that contains 20 teams. You need to ensure that a team named Team 1 is identified as highly confidential in the Microsoft Teams client. What should you use? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have a Teams app setup policy in the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. It controls which apps are available to users, not the classification of a team. Then we have C, a supervision policy in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Admin Center. It is used to monitor and record communications, not for classifying teams. Then we have D, a Teams policy in the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. It controls user permissions and features within Teams, but it does not apply sensitivity labels. As such, we should use a sensitivity label in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Admin Center. Thus, the correct option is B. A sensitivity label allows you to classify and protect content, including Teams, within Microsoft Teams. By applying a sensitivity label, you can mark Team 1 as highly confidential within the Teams client. Question 11. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription. You attempt to review call quality by location. When you sign into the Microsoft Call Quality dashboard, you discover that no locations are defined. You need to ensure that all the call quality information in the dashboard is segmented by location. What should you do first? Firstly, let's eliminate the incorrect options. We have A, from the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, configure reporting labels. Reporting labels help in categorizing reports but do not affect location segmentation in the call quality dashboard. Then we have C, run the PowerShell CMD, let set CSQOE configuration. It configures quality of experience settings but does not address location-based data segmentation in the call quality dashboard. Then we have D, from the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, run the Network Planner. Network Planner is used for planning network requirements for Teams, but it does not directly enable call quality segmentation by location. As such, first, we should, from the Microsoft Call Quality dashboard, select Tenant Data Upload. Thus, the correct option is B. Enabling tenant data upload in the Microsoft Call Quality dashboard allows the platform to segment call quality data by location. This ensures that the call data is properly organized for review. Question 12. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription that contains several teams. The company's security policy states that an administrator must be notified when a new team is created by using the Build a Team from Scratch option. You need to configure the environment to meet the security policy requirement. What should you do? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A, from the Microsoft 365 Compliance Admin Center, enable communication compliance. This policy is used for monitoring communication and content, but not for notifying when teams are created. Then we have C, from the Azure AD Admin Center, create a protection notification. Protection notifications are for security related events, not for tracking team creation. Then we have D, from the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, modify the global Teams policy. The Teams policy controls user permissions for Teams features but does not enable alerts for team creation. As such, we should, from the Microsoft 365 Compliance Admin Center, create an Office 365 alert policy. Thus, the correct option is B. The alert policy can send out alert when a group has been created. In this case, creating a team would create an Office 365 group that will trigger this alert. Question 13. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription. The company plans to host Microsoft Teams live events for groups of users larger than 5,000. You need to recommend a solution that minimizes the bandwidth required to stream the events. What should you include in the recommendation? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have a session border controller or SBC. SBCs are used for managing VoIP traffic and security, but are not designed to minimize bandwidth for large-scale event streaming. Then we have B, a third-party encoder. Encoders convert video signals but do not address the need for bandwidth optimization for large live events. Then we have D, A cloud video interop. A CVI allows interoperability between Microsoft Teams and other video conferencing systems, but it does not focus on minimizing bandwidth for live event streaming. Based on this, we should include an eCDN provider in the recommendation. As such, the correct option is C. An eCDN is designed to optimize bandwidth usage when streaming large-scale live events, reducing the impact on the corporate network while ensuring smooth delivery of the event to a large audience. Question 14. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription. You need to prevent users from using Microsoft Teams to communicate with users in a partner company that uses an email domain named lightwareinc.com. What should you do from the Microsoft Teams Admin Center? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Turn off guest access. It disables the ability for users to join Teams as guests but does not prevent communication with external domains. Then we have B. Create a new messaging policy. It controls messaging behavior within Teams but does not specifically block communication with external users by domain. Then we have D. Create a new meeting policy. It controls settings for meetings, not external communications with users from specific domains. Based on this, we should, from the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, modify the external access settings. Thus, the correct option is C. Firstly, Teams Admin Center, then users, then external access, and then block only specific domains. Then add a domain and block domain. The external access settings in the Microsoft Teams Admin Center control communication with users outside the organization, including blocking communication with specific domains like lightwareinc.com. Question 15. You have an Active Directory user named user1. You need to ensure that user1 can view the following reports: Microsoft Teams User Activity Report, Microsoft Teams Device Usage Report. The solution must limit the ability of user 1 to make changes to Microsoft 365 services. Which role should you assign to user 1? Firstly, let's eliminate the incorrect options. We have A. Teams Service Administrator. It allows managing team settings, including making changes to services, which exceeds the requirements of simply viewing reports. Then we have C. Teams Communications Support Specialist. It is primarily focused on troubleshooting and support and does not grant specific permissions for viewing reports. Then we have D. Message Center Reader. It provides access to the message center but does not grant access to Teams usage reports. As such, the role that we should assign to user 1 is Reports Reader. Thus, the correct option is B. Assign the Reports Reader role to users who need to do the following: view usage data and the activity reports in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, get access to the Power BI Adoption Content Pack, get access to sign-in reports and activity in Azure AD, view data returned by Microsoft Graph Reporting API. Question 16. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription. You plan to enable users to book meetings in several of the company's conference rooms by using the Microsoft Teams client. You need to create the required resource in Microsoft 365 for the conference rooms. What should you create for each conference room? Firstly, let's eliminate the incorrect options. We have a team. Teams are used for collaboration and communication, not for managing conference room bookings. Then we have C, an auto attendant. Auto attendants handle call routing, not conference room scheduling. Then we have D, an Office 365 group. Office 365 group are used for collaborations, but they don't specifically manage conference room resources. As such, what we should create in each conference room is a resource mailbox. Thus, the correct option is B. Microsoft Teams rooms need to have a resource account in Active Directory, Exchange, and Skype for Business. The account is used to access the meeting calendar and establish Microsoft Teams and slash or Skype for business connectivity. People can book this account by scheduling a meeting with it. Microsoft Teams rooms will be able to join that meeting and provide various features to the meeting attendees. Question 17. Your company has a Microsoft Office 365 subscription. The company has a Microsoft Teams group named Group 1. You need to remove inactive users from Group 1. The members of Group 1 must be validated every month. What should you use? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Data subject requests in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Admin Center. It is used for handling data access and privacy requests, not for managing group memberships. Then we have C. E-discovery cases in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Admin Center. It is used for legal and compliance searches, not for managing user access or group memberships. Then we have D. Usage reports in the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. It provides usage data but does not automate membership validation or removal. As such, what we should use is access reviews in the Azure AD Admin Center. Thus, the correct option is B. Use Azure AD to create access reviews for group members or application access. Access reviews in Azure AD allow you to periodically validate group membership, enabling the removal of inactive users from Group 1 on a monthly basis. Question 18. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription. All users have computers that run Windows 10. The computers are joined to Azure AD and enrolled in Microsoft Intune. All the users are standard users. The company plans to start using Microsoft Teams. You need to deploy the Microsoft Teams client to the computers. What should you use? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A, an Azure AD app registration. It is used for registering apps with Azure AD, not for deploying software to users' devices. Then we have B, a domain-based group policy object. GPUs are used in traditional Active Directory environments, not in Azure AD or Intune for deploying apps. Then we have C, Azure App Service. It is a platform for building and hosting apps, not for deploying Microsoft Teams or end user devices. As such, what we should use for this solution is an app in Microsoft Intune. Thus, the correct option is D. The computers and Azure AD joined, not domain joined, therefore, you cannot do it with GPU. The question states that computers are also enrolled in Microsoft Intune. To deploy it, you would use Client Apps Blade from Intune, so the correct answer is D. Question 19. You manage the Microsoft Teams environment for your company. Several users report poor call quality. You need to ensure that a user named admin5 can review the call quality metrics of all the users at the company. The solution must use the principle of least privilege. Which role should you assign to admin5? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Teams Administrator. It grants full administrative rights over team settings, which exceeds the principle of least privilege for just reviewing call quality metrics. Then we have C, Teams Communications Support Specialist. It provides support permissions but does not specifically grant access to call quality metrics or troubleshooting tools. Then we have D, Teams Communications Administrator. It grants permissions for broader team communications management, which is not needed for reviewing call quality. As such, the role that we should assign to admin 5 is Teams Communications Support Engineer. Thus, the correct option is B. Correct answer is B. Keywords are call quality metrics. Specialist can see report about problem but cannot see the metrics. The team's communication support engineer role allows admin 5 to access call quality metrics and troubleshooting tools without granting broader administrative privileges over teams. Question 20. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription that contains a team named Sales. You need to recommend a solution to ensure that all guest users who are members of Sales receive an email message each year to verify that they want to remain in the team. What should you include in the recommendation? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A, an identity provider. Identity providers manage authentication but do not handle membership validation or verification for Teams. Then we have B, a Microsoft Outlook add-in. Outlook add-ins are used for expanding Outlook functionality but don't address the need for reviewing or verifying guest memberships in Teams. Then we have C, a communication compliance policy. It is used for monitoring and controlling communication, but not for managing user membership or verification. As such, it is an access review that we should include in the recommendation. Thus, the correct option is D. Access reviews in Azure AD allow you to periodically review guest user memberships, ensuring that users confirm their desire to remain in a team. This process can be set up to prompt users to verify their membership annually. Question 21. You have a Microsoft 365 subscription. You plan to implement Microsoft Teams. You need to perform network quality and connectivity tests from an on premises network to Microsoft 365 online services by using the Network Testing Companion. You install the Network Testing Companion module on a local Windows 10 device. Which additional software should you install to perform the tests? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have B, Windows Performance Analyzer. It is primarily used for analyzing system performance, not for performing connectivity tests to Microsoft 365. Then we have C, the Microsoft Teams desktop client. While useful for Teams functionality, it is not necessary for network testing when using the Network Testing Companion. Then we have D, Windows Assessment Toolkit. It is primarily used for assessing Windows system performance and readiness, not for connectivity tests. Based on this, the additional software that we should install to perform the tests is Network Assessment Tool. Thus, the correct option is A. The Network Assessment Tool is specifically designed to work with the Network Testing Companion and helps in performing network quality and connectivity test to Microsoft 365 devices. Question 22. Your company has a Microsoft 365 tenant that uses Microsoft Skype for Business Online. All users connect to Skype for Business Online by using computers that run Windows 10. You plan to upgrade all the users from Skype for Business Online to Microsoft Teams. You need to ensure that the Microsoft Teams client is installed automatically on all the computers. What should you do from the Teams Admin Center? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A, from the messaging policies, modify the global messaging policy. Messaging policies manage messaging settings within Teams but do not handle the upgrade or installation of the Teams client. Then we have C, from Teams apps, add an app setup policy. App setup policies control which apps are available in Teams but are not related to upgrading users or installing Teams. Then we have D, from the Teams policy settings, modify the global Teams policy. Teams policies are used to configure Teams features for users but do not control the upgrade process from Skype for Business to Teams. As such, we should, from organization wide settings, configure the Teams upgrade settings. Thus, the correct option is B. The Teams upgrade settings in the Teams Admin Center allows you to manage the upgrade process from Skype for Business to Teams, including automatically deploying the Teams client to users. However, this option is no longer located under org-wide settings as that has been deprecated. Instead, it is now located in the Teams AC under Teams, then Teams upgrade settings. Question 23. You have a Microsoft Office 365 subscription that contains a user named User1. You need to ensure that User1 can view analytics and reports in the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. The solution must use the principle of least privilege. Which role should you assign to User1? Firstly, let's eliminate the incorrect options. We have A, Groups Administrator. It manages group settings and permissions, but does not grant access to view analytics or reports in Teams. Then we have B, Skype for Business Administrator. It focuses on Skype for business settings and does not provide the necessary permissions for Teams analytics and reports. And then we have C, Global Reader. It allows read-only access across Microsoft 365 services but does not specifically grant access to Teams reports. As such, the role that we should assign to user 1 is Reports Reader. Thus, the correct option is D. The Reports Reader role provides the necessary permissions to view analytics and reports in the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, fulfilling the least privilege principle. Question 24. You plan to deploy Microsoft Teams to a remote location. You perform a network readiness assessment for Microsoft Teams by using the Network Testing Companion. Which two tests are included in the assessment? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Trace route information. This is typically part of general network troubleshooting, not specifically part of the network testing companion's assessment. Then we have B. Video quality tests. While video quality is important, the network testing companion focuses on more fundamental network readiness tests such as port status and audio quality. Then we have E. Quality of service validation. QoS validation ensures network traffic prioritization but is not specifically covered by the network testing companion. As such, the two tests that are included in the assessment are open and blocked ports and audio quality tests. Thus, the correct options are C and D. The network testing companion assesses network readiness by checking for open and blocked ports and performs audio quality tests to ensure the network can support Teams voice and video calls. Question 25. Your company has a Microsoft 365 subscription. When making voice calls from Microsoft Teams, users report poor call quality at specific times of the day. You need to verify whether quality of service is being applied to the calls. What should you use? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A, the Microsoft Teams client. The Teams client does not provide detailed network traffic analysis for verifying quality of service settings. Then we have a B, Microsoft Call Quality Dashboard. While useful for analyzing call quality, it does not directly verify if QoS is being applied. Then we have C, Network Testing Companion. It helps test network readiness but does not capture traffic or provide detailed insights into QoS application. Based on this, what we should use is Network Monitor. Thus, the correct option is D. Network Monitor allows you to analyze and capture network traffic in detail, enabling you to verify if quality of service is being applied to voice calls. It provides insight into network conditions that affect call quality. Question 26. Your company has 200 users. You plan to upgrade all the users from Microsoft Skype for Business Online to Microsoft Teams. Phone system with Teams must be enabled for all users. You need to recommend a coexistence mode for the Microsoft Teams upgrade policy. Which mode should you recommend? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Skype for Business with Teams collaboration. It allows collaboration through both Skype for Business and Teams, but it does not fully disable Skype for Business. It is not suitable for fully upgrading to Teams. Then we have B, Islands. In this mode, users can use both Skype for Business and Teams independently, which is not ideal for a full upgrade to Teams. Then we have D, Skype for Business with team collaboration and meetings. Similar to option A, this mode still allows users to operate with both Skype for Business and Teams for collaboration and meetings, rather than fully migrating to Teams. As such, the mode that we should recommend is Teams only. Thus, the correct option is C. Using phone system with Teams is only supported when the user is in Teams only mode. Question 27. You have a Microsoft 365 subscription and an on premises Active Directory domain that syncs by using Azure AD Connect. You need to change the membership type of a group from assigned to dynamic user. What should you use? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. Active Directory users and computers. This is used for managing on-premises Active Directory groups, not Azure AD. It does not support managing dynamic group memberships. Then we have B. The Microsoft Teams client. The Teams client is for collaboration and managing Teams-related activities, not for modifying Azure AD group types. And then we have D. The Microsoft Teams Admin Center. The Microsoft Teams Admin Center is specifically for managing Teams and its settings, not Azure AD groups. As such, we should use the Azure AD Admin Center. Thus, the correct option is C. C is correct. You can change the membership type in the properties of a group in Azure Active Directory. Question 28. You have a Microsoft Office 365 subscription that contains a user named User1. You need to ensure that User1 can view analytics and reports in Microsoft Teams Admin Center. The solution must use the principle of least privilege. Which role should you assign to User1? Firstly, let's eliminate the incorrect options. We have A. Teams Communication Support Specialist. This role allows for support and troubleshooting, but it does not grant access to analytics and reports in the Teams Admin Center. Then we have C. Global Reader. It provides read-only access to all settings across Microsoft 365, but not specific to Teams reporting. Then we have D. Global Administrator. It grants full administrative access to all Microsoft 365 services, which is more than necessary for viewing analytics and reports. As such, the role that we should assign to user 1 is Skype for Business Administrator. Thus, the correct option is B. The Skype for Business Administrator role allows user 1 to view analytics and reports in the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, which includes Skype for Business and Teams reporting capabilities, while limiting permissions to just reports and analytics. Question 29. All the teams used by the company's legal department must meet the following compliance requirements. Each team must expire 365 days after it is created. All team content must be deleted when the team expires. An administrator must be able to restore deleted team content for 30 days. What should you do? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have A. From the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, create a retention policy. A retention policy controls data retention and deletion but does not handle automatic expiration of groups or teams. Then we have C. From the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, modify the Office 365 group settings. This does not specifically address the expiration of teams or group content. Then we have D. From the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, modify the Teams policy. Teams Admin Center controls settings for Teams functionality, but not for expiration or deletion of group content. As such, we should, from the Azure Active Directory Admin Center, configure Microsoft 365 groups expiration. Thus, the correct option is B. In the Azure AD Admin Center, you can configure expiration policies for Microsoft 365 groups. This allows you to set automatic expiration of groups after a set period and ensure that content is deleted upon expiration with the ability to restore it within a grace period. Question 30. You have a Microsoft 365 subscription that uses Microsoft Teams. All users are assigned Microsoft Office 365 Enterprise E3 license. You need to ensure that the users can join scheduled meetings by dialing a toll-free phone number. Which two add-on licenses should you assign to the users? Firstly, let's discuss the incorrect options. We have B. Microsoft 365 Phone System Virtual User. This is for managing phone system configurations for virtual users, but it is not required for dial-in meeting functionality. Then we have C. Microsoft 365 Domestic Calling Plan. This is for enabling users to make outbound calls, but it does not apply to dial-in meeting capabilities. Then we have E. Common Area Phone. This is for managing shared devices like conference room phones, not for meeting dial-in access. As such, the two add-on licenses that we should assign to the users are communication credits and Microsoft 365 audio conferencing. Thus, the two correct options are A and D. Communication credits provide a monthly pool of minutes that can also be used for PSTN phone calls if all your calling plan minutes get used before the beginning of the next month. If you want toll-free numbers for audio conferencing, auto attendants, or call queues, you shall need to set up communication credits. These were all the questions for this video. You can find the complete PDF of this video and our practice questions through the link down in the description. We will be publishing more parts to this series in the future, so please make sure to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.